If you're living in India and have always dreamt of purchasing a Tesla, that dream of yours may just come true in the next few years. You've heard it right. The largest EV manufacturer, Tesla, is now going to come to India and set up its domestic manufacturing unit here. Stay with me till the end of this video and you will have all the details. Also, if you're new to our YouTube channel and you're watching this video for the very first time, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you do not miss our new videos. So, the Indian government has announced a significant reduction in the import taxes on electric vehicles that are valued at $35,000 or more. Now, import taxes have been reduced from 100% to 15%. Earlier, there were two categories of import taxes. First, completely built up vehicles or CBVs that were valued at $40,000 or more, they had to pay 100% import tax. And those CBVs that were valued below $40,000, they had to pay a 70% import tax. So the import taxes were ranged between 70 to 100%. But here's the catch. Here's what the companies will need to do to avail this 15% import duty. Companies will need to invest a minimum amount of $500 million to set up their manufacturing units here in India. Not only that, but the EV manufacturing companies, they will only be able to import about 8,000 vehicles per year, and that too only for a period of 5 years. So they will be able to import about 40,000 EVs for a total of 5 years. After that, they will have to produce everything in India. And from the time of their commitment to invest $500 million or more in India, they will have to set up their manufacturing units within a time frame of 3 years. Not only that, but they will also have to use about 25% of localized components by the third year and about 50% of the localized components by the fifth year. Now, what do I mean by localized components? These components have to be produced in India. So these companies, these global EV manufacturers, they will have to use about 25% of their total components that are being produced in India by the third year, and by the fifth year, this number has to go up to 50%. So what happens if these companies, these EV manufacturers, they're not able to keep up with the requirements in the new policy? Here's what these companies are required to do. Earlier, they were charged 100% import tax. Now they are being charged a 15% import tax. So this is a difference of about 85%. That number, 85%, that has been reduced will have to be kept as a bank guarantee in case these companies, they are not able to keep up or meet the requirements set up by the Indian government in the new policy. And if they are not able to achieve the requirements, which would mean that if they are not able to invest about $500 million or they are not able to set up their domestic manufacturing units in India, all of those import taxes that would be kept as bank guarantee will be invoked by the bank. That will be taken away from them. This may turn out to be a huge opportunity for Tesla, especially when Tesla has been trying to enter the Indian market. Elon Musk has been negotiating with the Indian government, and he also met the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi during his visit to the US last year, wherein they were negotiating on lowering the import duties. Elon Musk was also planning to build a 25,000 affordable EV for markets like India, and we'll talk about that later as well in this video. Tesla certainly wants to expand its presence specifically in India because India has a huge upside. Out of the total car sales that were made in 2023 in India, only about 2% of them were EV sales. So there's a huge upside in the Indian market, and the Indian government now expects that number to increase to 30% by 2030. This is also why the Indian market is important for Tesla. Tesla stock is down by 34% year to date, which means that Tesla stock is down by 34% in 2024 so far, and Tesla has been the worst performing stock of the S&P 500 so far. Not only that, but Tesla was the most shorted stock in 2023. So it gives all the more reasons for Tesla to invest in India and expand its market share here. Even though this is a huge opportunity for Tesla, but Tesla is not the only global EV manufacturer in this race. There are other global manufacturers, including companies like BYD, which is a Chinese manufacturer, and VinFast, which is a Vietnamese manufacturer. In fact, BYD actually overtook Tesla's sales in the last quarter of 2023. BYD produced about 526,000 vehicles, EVs, in the last quarter as compared to Tesla's 484,000 vehicles that it produced in the same time frame. On the other hand, Vietnam's VinFast is also looking at India. In fact, it actually went past the market caps of Ford and GM, General Motors, with a market cap of $86 billion at the launch of its IPO. Now, that was back in August 2023. And since then, its market cap has been reduced. Currently, it stands at about $11.73 billion. However, VinFast is actually planning to invest about $2 billion in India, and it has already started the construction of its manufacturing plant in Tamil Nadu. Now, BYD and VinFast, they are not the only global manufacturers that are in this race. There are other traditional manufacturers, including Mercedes, BMW, Skoda, and many other companies that have been in the Indian market for a while. Now, they can also import their EVs and start selling in India. Not only that, but this market also has local players, including Tata Motors and Mahindra. They are also in this race. And now, let us also talk about why has India actually kept this import tax duty on vehicles valued at 35,000 or more. Why is this import tax duty not for vehicles below $35,000? Here's why. The local original equipment manufacturers like Tata Motors and Mahindra, they have been lobbying with the Indian government to actually push the prices higher to $35,000, because if Indian government decides to keep this import tax for EVs less than $35,000, it will hamper their business model. Now, Tata Motors and Mahindra, they want to protect their investments that they have already made in the EV segment. So, if the Indian government decided to keep this particular tax, the import tax, for vehicles less than $35,000, it would mean that all the people that are looking to buy EVs, they would turn to the global EV manufacturers, including Tesla, and it would not be good for companies like Tata Motors and Mahindra. Tesla was actually planning to build a $25,000 EV for markets like India, and the government was also looking at this particular range. It was looking at the range of $25,000 to $35,000 to basically put the import taxes on. However, in order to protect the interests and businesses of local manufacturers, the Indian government decided to lower import taxes on vehicles valued at $35,000 or more. Tesla's cheapest Model 3 is actually valued at about $39,000 globally, and it may just import its Model 3 to India. While companies like Tesla and BYD, they are eyeing the Indian market, BYD will actually have to take additional government permission. And this is because companies in countries that share land border with India, they will need an additional government permission to operate in India and expand their business. So, what is the Indian government trying to do by lowering import taxes on electric vehicles? The Indian government is actually trying to bring in healthy competition in the electric vehicle space. It wants to bring in the global players as well as push the local players to compete together in the Indian market space. Not only that, but the Indian EV market is actually very small right now. So all of these companies, the global companies and the local companies, they're going to compete at the same playing level, which gives every company an equal opportunity to dominate the Indian EV market space. And at the end of the day, the Indian consumers would win. Secondly, this move was just made one day prior to the announcement of Model Code of Conduct for the upcoming Lok Sabha elections. And this move can be seen as positioning India in front of the world as a business-friendly country. That India is a lucrative place for foreign investments, specifically in the EV segment, as the EV market is still in its infancy. So, do you think that Tesla would come invest in India and dominate the Indian EV marketplace? Or do you think that local players like Tata will have an advantage in the EV space? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed watching this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and thank you for watching this video.